Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie, and in this video, I'll give you guys my thoughts about the Senior Bowl yesterday. This was an awesome game for the New York Jets coaching staff. Obviously, we get the dub. The national team came out on top, and we got a lot of things to break down in this video. Basically, what I want to talk about is who stood out to us as a Jets fan base, and especially more importantly, the Jets coaching staff and the scouts. Who are the players that the Jets should be targeting in this year's draft class? Because the Jets had a phenomenal opportunity down in Mobile, Alabama. They had a chance to go out there, coach these guys all throughout the week. They coached them on the day of Senior Bowl. Melton did a phenomenal job as the head coach, making some crazy pep talks at the beginning of the game. And we got a lot of players that just really look like players that would fit the system for Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur beautifully. So let's jump right into it. Before I hop into it, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Jets Media, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And if you want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYJets_media. And if you enjoy the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. With that being said, let's jump right in. So first and foremost, before we get into the players, let's talk about the coaching, because I feel like it could be me being biased, but it's honestly not, because the Jets won the game. But we look like the team, the national team compared to the American team, look like the more well-coached team in terms of coaching the fundamentals. We heard that Ron Middleton before the game, his mindset was just play more physical than them, hit them. It was like win the hit battle, be more physical. And I feel like when you're coaching a young team like the national team in the Senior Bowl, players that are just coming out of college, that are trying to get into the NFL draft, and to hear from an NFL coach in Ron Middleton to tell them win the hitting battle. It doesn't matter if you're going to be dropping passes and all these stuff. Just make sure that you play with 110%, that all gas no break mentality, and play fundamental hard-nosed football and get your nose dirty. And that's exactly what these players did for the New York Jets team and the national squad. So I'm really excited about that. We saw some really great stuff from Rob Calabrese as the offensive coordinator. We all know that he's the quarterback coach. He's right below Mike LaFleur on the Jets, so he got an opportunity to call some plays, which is really cool. So that's good experience for Rob Calabrese. And overall, I just really love what the Jets coaching staff did. They really put these players in the right situations to succeed. So I definitely want to start off with that. So the first thing that I took away with the most when it comes to the players in the position group is definitely the defensive line. That pass rush was dominating all game long. Guys like Boye Mafe, Jesse Luketa, Perry and Winfrey looks like an absolute beast of a man. And even Chad Mumma was screaming off the edge. There's a lot of players, man. There's a lot of players that really stood out to me, and personally, I'm like, wow, these players would fit the Jets. I was live during the Senior Bowl yesterday. If you guys saw that stream, I was live with Jack. He was over watching the game together, and we were making a joke. Any big player that made a big-time play, we're like, oh, future New York Jet. He's going to be a Jet, because the Jets are going to draft every single player from the Senior Bowl roster. Obviously, it's a joke. That's not happening. But watching this defensive line and seeing guys like Perry and Winfrey up the middle just absolutely wrecking havoc on people, it's just like, yo, can he be a draft pick for the Jets late in the draft? Even a guy like Jesse Luketa, he's a linebacker, but he was playing on the edge, and he was just doing everything you would want from a linebacker playing the edge rusher position. Boye Mafe was doing great things. There was just so many guys on this defensive line just getting to the quarterback with ease, and that makes you wonder, was it the Jets defensive coaches that were really coaching them up, telling them how to do, the technique, how to get off the ball, how to do, use your hands, how to use your power, your finesse, because they were dominating all game long. So shout out to the national squad's defensive line pass rush, because we all know that the defense of the Jets are trying to implement in the real NFL is all about pass rush. So that's great to see what there. And then flipping over to the offensive side of the ball, we got the tight ends. Tight ends probably the biggest positive when it comes to this offense for the national squad. Tight ends, Trey Mcbride. Of course, he got it in the end zone. Trey Mcbride is probably the draft crush of every single Jets fan. We all want him so bad in the second round. We don't know if it's going to happen because his draft stock is rising. So we'd be lucky if he falls to 35 and the Jets snag him. Maybe Joe Douglas is understanding that his draft stock is rising, and if he really loves him that much, maybe he trades up back into the first round to get him. I would not be opposed to that. We need a really good dynamic tight end. Another player that stood out at the tight end position was Jake Ferguson. He had a really good game. He had a touchdown. He was catching the passes all over the place. Jake Ferguson's from Wisconsin. He's another late round target for the New York Jets. Say hypothetically we do not land a Trey Mcbride early in the second round, he's off the board. Maybe the Jets go later in the draft for Ferguson or even Jeremy Rucker. Eckert, who we were not able to see. He did not play in the Senior Bowl. Even Cole Turner had a good game at the tight end spot. The tight end from Nevada. I mean, we had really good tight ends on this Jets roster, and it's cool to see that the tight ends, you can tell, were the best skill group on this Jets squad. I keep saying Jet squad. It was the national squad compared to the running backs and the wide receivers. Honestly, those are the guys that stood out to me the most in terms of the position groups. And then outside of the tight end group, Abram Smith, the Baylor running back, he was all over the place. He had the first touchdown of the game. He looked really explosive. I love what I saw from Smith. The wide receiver group, Christian Watson, he was that number one option for the Jet for their offense for Kenny Pickett. He didn't really get a lot of targets, so I was a little disappointed in him. But Bo Melton from Rutgers, he really stood out to me. He was doing kick returns. He was punt returning. He had a couple screen passes where he took it for the first down. He showed a lot of burst, showed a lot of speed. Maybe he's a late round target. You never know. And then kicking back over to the defensive side of the ball, I want to talk about Chad Mumma, the linebacker for Wyoming. He was all over the place. This was a linebacker where you're just like, yeah, that is a style of linebacker I want on my team. He's a stereotypical guy that just lines up in the middle of the field. Wherever the ball is, he's there. Whether it's at the line of scrimmage, whether it's all on the sidelines, whether the ball was passed all the way down the field late in the game, he was there. He just looks like that linebacker that just, is going to be a good prospect in the NFL. I feel like he's going to be a late, stud in this draft. I feel like he can go either in the second, third, fourth, fifth round. You never know when it comes to the draft combine. I feel like his draft stock boosted, especially in the Senior Bowl, because he had a great week of practice and especially a great day at the Senior Bowl. And then the two safeties I want to talk about, both from Baylor, Petrie and JT Woods. The Baylor safeties, they really stood out to me, especially Jalen Petrie. He was everywhere. He looked like a guy that was all over the place. And we know that the Jets need safety help desperately, and one of these two guys could be, targets late in the draft. We know that we have so much capital. We know that, we're not going to get everybody at the top of the draft. Don't forget, we do not only have 4 picks in the top 38. We also have 9 picks in the first 5 rounds. So we're going to be trying to get as much talent as we can late in this year's draft class. Maybe we take a flyer on a safety, one of these two safeties from Baylor. JT Woods got that game-sealing interception, which is great to see. Kirby Joseph, they all had good games. And then when it comes to the other side of the secondary, Bryant from Cincinnati, I know that a lot of Jets fans like him as well. He showed some flashes. He didn't really do anything too crazy, but he did his job. And then when it comes to the trenches for the offensive line, we all know that Trevor Penning was the star of the show at practice. He had a decent game. I was looking out for him the most. He didn't really do anything bad, but he definitely looked like someone that is going to be a big-time stud in the NFL. He was lined up on left tackle to start off, and then they line him up at right tackle to see his versatility. Zion Johnson lined up at center. David Filelli, he was at right tackle. He got beat on one play, but he had a bounce-back performance. He's a big man. Bernard Raymond, he actually had a decent game. He did get beat sometimes. But yeah, the offensive line was decent for us. And then when it comes to the quarterbacks, I know that the Jets are not looking for a quarterback, but I do want to talk about them. Kenny Pickett, he looked okay. He didn't really stand out to me like this guy is the next big thing in the NFL. He just looks like a prototypical quarterback prospect that's just raw, very raw of Kenny Pickett. And then Malik Willis, he really stood out to me a lot, especially his dual threat ability. He was someone that was just running all over the place. I feel like he's going to be a really awesome dual threat quarterback in the NFL. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, he looked okay. He didn't really stand out to me at all, to be honest. He had one good drive, but outside of that, it was kind of disappointing. And then Carson Strong, not really too impressive on my end. And Sam Howell was okay. Bailey Zappe was actually one of the best quarterbacks I've seen at the Senior Bowl. So yeah, guys, that's my thoughts, my biggest takeaways from the Senior Bowl. Let me know your thoughts. This is a great opportunity for the New York Jets to get their hands on all these NFL senior prospects and understand where we're going to go out there. Are we going to draft our own player that we coached? Are we going to draft the player that was on the Lions coaching staff? I would love for the Jets to get at least one of these two guys from the Senior Bowl, because we know that the San Francisco 49ers, they coached the Senior Bowl in 2019. They fell in love with Deebo Samuel at the Senior Bowl. They drafted him in the second round. We all know what Deebo Samuel's doing right now. Michael Carter, our running back, he was at the Senior Bowl last year. Jets fell in love with him. I know that we weren't coaching him, but they were on the sidelines. They were looking at it. They saw what he did at the Senior Bowl. They saw what he did at the Combine and all that great stuff, and they drafted him. So maybe we get our own Deebo Samuel in this year's draft, and I'm hoping that is Trey McBride. I feel like he is someone that every single Jets fan wants, including myself. Make it happen, Joe Douglas. Get Trey McBride on the Jets because he fits this system beautifully. One more thing about Trey McBride, that touchdown that he had was so awesome because it was a staple of the Mike LaFleur offense, to the point where you're like just envisioning like, wow, that's what I want to see. Zach Wilson, play action in the red zone, crossing route, touchdown. Woo! Please make that happen. So yeah, guys, that's my thoughts. Leave a comment down below your thoughts of the Senior Bowl. Love to hear what you guys have to say. And that is it for this video. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace.